Hey, welcome back to Rotten Rust Garage. Today, I got to wrap up some loose ends, we'll call it. I got quite a few things to work on. Finish fitting up the brake lines to the master cylinder. I'll show you that here in just a minute. Got some challenges there. Also, I need to look at getting the wiring tucked away and getting the clips back in place or zip ties, something to hold it up out of the way. I need to just bolt the things back to the firewall behind me. You know, the ignition box, the starter relay, ballast resistor, etc. Find a suitable location for that. Make sure it's got a good ground. What else? I got to do the rear shocks. Still just avoiding throwing those up there. I know it's not a hard job, but it's painful because the bolts are, you know, this long and fine thread and at least it's clean back there now though. Also, I need to start thinking ahead, and I need to pull the rear axles, drop out the center section on this car, and do a little bit of research. Pretty sure this is a small pinion rear end. I'm positive. And I want a big pinion sure grip. Now, I'm going to go ahead and guess before I've even popped these rear axles out. I know that it's not sure grip, and I'm guessing it's probably a 276. I think they made, or a 323. I'm going to put my money on 276, and that'd be great for highway cruising. I don't want to do that. I want to do burnouts. So a lot to do and a little bit of time this weekend. No time next weekend, so I got to wrap up some loose ends. So I might as well go ahead and get started. Let's go. Alright, so in the spirit of just getting started, I'm going to do the job that I want to do least first. And it's an easy job. I'm just going to put these rear shocks back up in here. That should be quick and easy, so let me get started. So I want to try and get the bolt through the back side rather than from the front side, because it was hard to get a ratchet and a deep well socket on this side because they had gone the other way with the nut on this side. So I'm going to reverse that. And maybe this will be a little easier the next time they come out. All right. Okay. Well, I just threw that across the garage. Get this nut started. Maybe. And it only goes down so far with your fingers because it's kind of like a factory style nylock-ish kind of thing. I don't know. It's kind of odd. But that's all the farther it'll go without mechanical advantage. So now what I want to try and do is see if a 3/8 drive, which is much smaller than my impact, will actually drive that nut on. Out. Let's see. Yep. So let me get a wrench. I think it's 3/4, and get it fished up in here. Yeah, that'll do it. And now let's see if this guy will tighten down. Yep. Ooh, too tight. Let's back it off a tickle, because I did not think this little guy would do it. It sure as heck didn't want to take it off of there. Another tickle. Oh, my hand's in the way. There we go. Alright. Tighten that down a second. Get this out of the way. That's clean. And yep, leave a little bit of space down here. Leave a little bit of space down here to catch this joker. There we go. If you're wondering, they're just not crazy expensive KYB shocks. Nothing crazy, just a good shock. And this was way easier than taking the old rusted ones out. And I waited to put these in until all the brake lines were routed. Again, these are all still in here loose, finger tight. All right, and that's that. So let me knock out the other one and we'll go up to the front. All right, now to finish this job up. And I'm gonna hit the back side again real quick. All right, let's see. Front brake pad, little anti-rattle clip on it. Slide this joker in somewhere in here. Yep, that'll do. Well, that thing's pretty loose on there. This little clippity, little anti-rattle clip. Let me see if I can't tighten that a little bit. I'll tweak on the tabs with my handy dandy hammer. Don't know if that did anything or not. See if that stays on a little tighter. Yep, much better. All right, that on there. The rear or the outer brake pad is already on the caliper. Obviously the bleeder goes up. And let's start it on the top. And then set it down into the bottom. Yep. Nope. All right. So we got this crazy little O-ring that goes on the top. This guy. I bet a lot of people don't put that on, but it's holding it off just enough to keep it from sliding on this bottom here. So give her a little persuasion. Still not quite enough. That O-ring may just get it delete. Let me get the dead blow. There we go. Yep, she on there. Yep. And then the little clippity dips there. And these go like such. Now, this guy here. Man, I'm fumble fingers today. And this one here at the bottom. Find a hole. And that's that. Now I just do that to the other side, and then the next step is going to be Well, tighten these down, but then knock this link free, get these boots put on finally. And then I got to dive in and start messing with this distribution valve. Got some alignment issues, so we're going to sort through that. All right, keep on going. All right, so I previously just hand tightened all of the brake lines to the distribution block on the back side, and I just finally got this little tiny line over from the distribution block, but you can see it's not lined up at all, so I'm just gonna real gentle like try and bend this thing around some without breaking it or doing anything. See, that's still at a bad angle. I gotta climb under here and see what's going on around the other side. So I certainly don't want to pinch it. What's happening back here is that is a tight radius. Yeah, super close, but not quite. It's looking a little better. I think it's just too far through that slot now. All right. It is, see, I don't know if you can see that or not. It's hanging down through there. But what I want to do is, while I'm at it, go ahead and put on these braided stainless, kind of get them in place and see how they're looking. So let's tear into this package. What I am going to do, I think, since these lines came with these, studs, banjo bolts, I believe I'm going to go ahead and use the ones that came with the kit. And so I'm going to pull out the one that came with the caliper, slightly different, not too much. A real long one. Oh, keep all this hardware though. All right, and get a. All right, there's already a copper washer still sitting there. That's good. Makes it a little easier. Now I got to figure out where this thing's going to end up. There is a raised tang on the back of the caliper that keeps it in position on the caliper. These things are so unwieldy long. I hope they're going to work out okay. Yeah, let's give it a shot. If I can just get this thing started, I can't get my fingers in there. Especially with this thing just flopping in the breeze. Just to get the bolt started. Boy, that is a challenge. Way more than I expected. It's in a terrible spot. Right up against the shock absorber. Huh, well, this is a monkey and a football right here. Is it starting? I don't know. Nope. Go to your happy place. There we go. Golly. That was super not cool. God almighty, look how long these things are. This thing's got to loop all the way around. Get out of here. I don't know, people. That doesn't seem like it's gonna work too good. And you go like that. Nope, because the That's gonna be bad. It's gotta be out this way. Holy smokes, this thing's long. It may or may not make the cut. I'll be honest, I might just get some factory ones because this thing is crazy long. All right, there's that. So if I flip it around, anything like that's gonna get it. I don't know if you can see that or not. But if I go this way, the bottom of the loop's gonna be way too close to the lower control arm. So if I spin it the other way, what a disaster this thing is. Maybe if I go this way. Nope. Holy smokes. Alright, well, I gotta flip it all the way around. Alright, let me go get a clip. Alright. If I could just get a hand on that thing. Not square. What's holding you off center? Yeah. Come on, baby. Can't get my clip going through. Alright. Nope. China. And this is not good because it's poking right down at everything. I think that's a terrible, terrible setup. And so I'm going to tighten it down and leave it for now, but I did get the clip in. What a fight. That's just frustrating because I wanted it to loop out over here by the caliper. I do worry about this. When this thing gets set down, this is going to be all in the steering. And so once I get the weight on the car, I'm going to be revisiting all of this. Once there's an engine in it and this is sitting and it's at the proper ride height, I got to see what this is going to hit because this is no bueno. So anyway, now at least I can try to finagle this guy. Needs a little tightening right there. Let's see if I can get it to set straight down on there. And just finger tighten it. Not quite at the right angle. Okay, there we go. Also, when you're finger tightening these, make sure the other side's finger tight, especially if you're going to be doing some bending. But I found wiggling it around some helps you get the threads going down in there. You should be able to run it in a little bit more than what I've just done. In other words, this is possibly binding. Yep, because I've still got quite a bit of tube going up and down inside of there. So this should thread down much easier. So that means it could be cross-threaded. I'm going to back it out of there and try again. All right, let me get a little tiny wrench. All right, got my little 3/8 here. It feels to me like that is cross-threading. The line looks good, but it's not. I'm gonna just loosen it back out of here. I don't like how that's feeling. Again, should be able to finger tighten all of this down. Get the line set on the cone in there. My bend is off. That's what's wrong. There we go. Much better. Now it's going down freely. Okay, now I got to do the same to the other side. Fight that on. And what size is this banjo back here? Of course it's 7/16, which I don't have with me, so let me get one. And we're back. And I am going to tighten this one down somewhat. Are you metric? Get out of here. You are metric. You're a little less than a half and a little more than a 7/16. Great. You know what? That might determine which banjo bolts I use. Well, nope, that one is also not cool. How about this one? 7/16. It's also metric. Super. Nothing says made in China like metric. Yeah, that thread's on real easy now. If it's not going on by finger, your line's not aligned. And you should only be left with just a few threads after just doing it with your fingers, right? So now we got that clip on there and that thing's in there, and you can see a little bit better how I don't like this. So we're gonna have to go lock to lock, see what happens. I don't know what I can do. Not a bueno situation. So my excitement for the stainless braided lines has diminished greatly. But otherwise, it's starting to go together. All right, now the other side. Alrighty. Let's see. What size are you? Let's start off here. If I recall, yeah, you're still loose. A little more. Leave a little bit of bolt on there. Let's see if that went down. There we go. Oh, my pack of, can you hand me those? Okay, I'll get them. Oh. All right, didn't need light anyway, but I'll tell you what. Oh, you're not going to go up enough in this position, are you? Yeah, we got to steer out a little bit. So you go back in place, steer over. Got to get past the torsion bar like that. Drop this nasty one off of here. You can see I smoked it. Let me get you hang on. I'm gonna go get some paper towels and wipe this down a little bit. Yeah, a little bit of this. This is still a good tie rod end. A little bit of wear right there. It's, yeah, nope, I don't like that. I can see that it's worn right there, so this whole thing's got to get in alignment, right? Because I swapped the spindles, but boy, that thing has not seen grease in a hot second. Wonder if some grease will smooth it out a little bit. I really don't want to change the tie rod ends right now, namely because I don't have a set sitting here. And if you got to do all four of them, well, maybe you don't, but I would personally. So the right thing to do is change the tie rod ends. Let me just stick some grease in it first. If this can get me by for a minute, I'd be very happy with that. How's this one feel? A little notchy too. Well, let's see what we get. Especially with some grease on there. They'll be all right for a minute. Like I said, earlier video, you know, I'm gonna rebuild this entire front end possibly next winter. So let's see. Now this whole thing needs to drop down, and that would be a good time to do the tie rod ends and everything. So that one's crazy loose. Let's see if this one will drop off the pitman arm. If I get my arm off of it. Nope. Let me get out from under it. I got nowhere to go. Ow. There she goes. Out of the way. Let's find my nice clean paper towel. Ugh. That thing is trashed. Hang on. Here, you can have that. Oh man. This one's even worse. It has not been greased in a very long. This steering is going to be extremely sloppy. Oh, that's terrible. Huh. Well, how does that, I don't know, you tell me, but is that just pressed in? Or is that, no, that feels integral to the pitman arm. So a new pitman arm might be in order. All right, we're not going to do that today. We're just going to slap a bunch of grease in it. Call it good. That's the way it's going to be done for this. It's old, I expect sloppy steering. Come on back over. Oh, need this one more time. Oh God, I can't get my arm under here. All right, get this little nut going. Got to expose some threads first before it'll go. All right. All right. Let me get these tightened back down. And then we're going to throw a bunch of grease in everything. Everything with a grease fitting gets it. First, I'm going to go around with some brake clean and a clean paper towel and get all these Zerk fittings cleaned off real good. Even a little tiny wire brush. And I need to get some cotter pins and line these up. So I ain't gonna honk them all the way down because I'm gonna find the hole and then go tighter. All right, I'll be back. All right, get this lower ball joint. The upper's new and it's clean. Then I'll go to the other side and do the same. And let's throw some high quality grease in there. Got it. All right, YouTube friends, I did those little odds and ends stuff. Now I'm digging into the real stuff, and I'm gonna have to put the camera aside because I gotta figure out what in the world went wrong when I wired in this electronic ignition. So I've got out the wiring diagram, and I've got out, you know, some other reference materials. I've just started peeling back all the, you know, electrical tape, and I am going to figure out what went wrong. Because if you saw an earlier video, if you've been watching for a while, I told the story of the charger. It was a video right after I brought it in here, and it had a small block in it, a 340. And after I wired this all together, very, very rapidly wired it together and tried to fire it up, and ended up with no start and a little bit of smoke. Not good, but so I don't want to repeat that once I get the 440 in here. So I'm going to go through this and make sure that, you know, all the simple stuff like this distributor wire, that it's going to reach the front of the engine, and because that's where the distributor is on a 440 instead of the back of the engine for a small block. So I'm going to mess with this for a little while, and it's going to be just a lot of smoke coming out of my ears and my brain whirring and trying to figure it all out, and trying to determine blue wires from black wires that are almost 56 years old. Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, I'm going to do that for a little while. Y'all go get a beverage or something, have some, you know, have a snack, take a little break. I'm just saying I'm going to be here a minute. And, oh, and I'll probably bolt these little guys back up and on, you know, because that's simple. But this is a part of what I'm doing here, right? Oh, and by the way, old starter relay, I bet you this works just fine. But I went ahead and bought a new starter relay. And how much do you want to bet me that it will not work, or it will only work for a very short amount of time, and it is buried way back up in there? Obviously I got the wires loose. So other things I'm going to do is, with the wiring today, I'm going to go ahead and pull this silly braided cover for the battery cable off and probably put on a new battery terminal. I have no idea where the negative for this thing is. I'll have to acquire one. And you know, so I'm just going to be playing in here probably for the next hour or two, and hopefully I can report back with, you know, solutions that I came up with. But we'll never know until I get a battery in it and do some actual testing with a voltmeter. And you know, obviously the real test is, will it fire that engine? If that engine will even run. Hell, we don't even know that. So, all right, I'll be back in a little while. Okay, I'm back. I think I figured it out. And it's a boneheaded thing. I don't know what I did, but I know I had a battery in this when the engine was in, and I should have checked with a voltmeter with the ignition to the run position without starting the engine and seeing which side of the ballast resistor was hot. I don't have a battery in here now, so I can't check it, but I'm 99.857% positive I wired to the wrong side of the ballast resistor. So I got to undo that. But first I want to go ahead and get a battery, get a ground cable, all of that noise, that nonsense, turn the key and see what happens. Now, nothing may happen because I've pulled the instrument cluster out, and that's going to be kind of integral for a few things. Possibly. I think I can actually check this without the instrument cluster. I'll have to think on that. What all goes in and what comes out. Yeah, I should be okay without the instrument cluster. But speaking of the instrument cluster, I'm going to show you that here in just a minute. But in the meantime, what I'm going to do is start messing with this battery cable, getting all this goofiness off of it, and wrapping it like it should look from the factory. Start routing these together. I'm gonna go ahead and electrical tape this. This goes up to the headlight harness. And then once that's all done, it all clips up here along with these vacuum lines. I'm gonna clean the vacuum lines real good. A lot of really boring stuff before I get to this. And again, I gotta make sure that the routing is correct. And excuse me, I don't like where I have the different bits on the firewall. And this has to be grounded, right? It has to be grounded very well. And so it was originally on this plate over here that you'd seen in a previous video. Well, that's just a piece of aluminum or something held on by some aluminum pop rivets, and it's got caulk on around it. I'm just gonna go ahead and say, no, that's not a good ground. So I'm gonna find a better place for all of this stuff. And I'm not gonna bore you with all of those details right now, but suffice to say, that's what I'm gonna mess with for the rest of the afternoon. And you know, I got maybe another hour, and then I'll get back with you and update you. See you in a minute. So as promised, I told you I'd show you the instrument cluster and drink it in. Faux wood grain, right? But I want to show you a couple things. All right, it's got the factory tack, the Tic Tac Toc, whatever, Tic Toc Tac. Yeah, maybe that's it. Can't adjust on it any because this is rusted off of there. Can you see that? Yeah, not going to be able to reset any of that. Whoop. And it's, well, right now I'm currently doing 5,350 revs. Probably not accurate. Or maybe that's the seconds. I don't know. It should be like a tack, right? Anyway, all of this, lights and everything, that's vacuum operated, right? I'll flip it over here in a second, get back to that. But look at the, can I get in there without, you cannot see the numbers in there. They are just completely faded away. Now the tack, clock, beautiful. Not so much here. You can probably, if I get you in there a little bit more, you can see the mileage. Maybe 35,407 miles. And then the other gauges, again, I know there's a lot of glare, you cannot see the backing. I can't even tell you which one these are. Let's see, that would be, oh Lord, I can't tell you, I can't read it enough. All right, so that's going to be fuel, that's going to be temperature, that's going to be oil pressure. Kind of want to see that one. And then look, the alternator one is beautiful. You can still see it just fine. Crazy. So I am in the process now. This pops right off. I've taken the screws off. I'm in the process right now of trying to find who can restore this. A brand new one with all digital garbage in it that I don't want is like $1,800. But anyhow, I mentioned there's your door, headlight doors, and they that's vacuum operated. The vacuum comes in, you flip that rocker on the other side, and also the electrical, there's a rod, connecting rod down inside of there. Can you see that? And then the electrical for actually turning the lights on, and then the dimmer switch and everything. So I imagine all this stuff is probably a-okay. Don't know, again, never had the car running, but I do know I need to be able to see what the gauges are telling me, and I want this to work, and I need a new one of these posts. So all this has got to come apart by somebody way more talented than me, right? Okay, just wanted to share that. All right, good morning. I'm back at it. Actually, I've been at it for a little while now, trying to burn into my brain, like, what's going on with this wiring? What did I do all those years ago? Like literally right after I got the car, before I really did anything. Luckily I took a bunch of pictures, but that's when I did the electrical wiring work, and I don't know what I did, man. I don't think I did it right, whatever. But maybe I did. But anyway, let me show you what's going on here, and I'll see if I can even explain it, but I probably can't. in any understandable fashion. So let me spin the camera around here, show you what I'm looking at. So everything is blue, all the wires. I'm just kidding, a lot of them. So let's see, I guess we'll start here. This is where I'm getting confused, okay? So the factory service manual has this that goes to the ballast resistor, right? That makes sense because it's got a blue wire that goes back to the field on the alternator. And then here's your voltage regulator plug. Well, this car didn't have this style voltage regulator. It had just a little tiny black box that bolted up right here, or no, right up here. And it had a spade connector, again, similar to that. That might have even, well, that's the ballast resistor, but it looked just like this, right? And let's see, it did not take, where'd it go? This car did not have this style voltage regulator, right? This is a nice made in China unit. This is what I'd rather use anyway, although I guess, I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with the old style. But here's where it gets interesting, right? I'm trying to, like, a lot of times you can tell, like, this is factory taping, and this looks factory on this main wire harness here, right? And this wire harness goes all the way around, right? Comes over, and there's all your alternator connections. This lays up on the engine when the engine's in here, if you can imagine. That all looks original taping to me. It's very dirty and old looking. So stick with me on this. If I rewired all this and put this style connector in, there's no splice anywhere for that green field wire. And I don't understand, because if there's no splice, then how did I put this style connector in? I would have had to splice something like this. This is a splice. I did that, all right, because there was another wire. This is the other wire that goes to the electronic ignition unit. All right, that wire has to go to the hot side of the ballast resistor when the key is in the on position. Therefore, I need a battery in this thing, and then I need to turn the key on, and I need to check which of these ballast resistor plugs are hot. I'm going to go with this one. This brown wire here, I think, is what tells the story, because this goes to ignition 2. This dark blue wire with the tracer on it, the white tracer, goes to ignition 1. All right, and I hacked into this one, and I can see that's how I got part of this, at least, setup going on. I don't know if that makes any sense, but there's some other differences too, like this plug for the ballast resistor. I don't know if you can see in this light, it is brown. All right, this looks like not 69. This black one goes to the other side of the ballast resistor, and it is definitely original to the car. How do I know that? Because I have pictures of all this. I have this one, a picture when I got the car of this plugged into the ballast resistor up here. The other side of the ballast resistor, though, had a single wire, and now the other side has 2. And I know I did that, right? So this will go into the other side, and then this goes into the voltage regulator, right? So voltage regulator's got to live right in here anyway, the new style. I just got to figure out, I don't really want to drill a hole, but this doesn't really fit anywhere on any of these holes that I have existing. And it covers this, whatever the heck that little thing is. That might be like a drain for the cowl. I have no idea. Or the air conditioning. Because remember, all this AC stuff was deleted on this car. Yeah, and in the pursuit of trying to understand all this wiring, I have figured out quite a few other things. Like this was the air conditioning wiring up here. I just got it pushed up out of the way. But again, this one was black. This is original. I got to go upstairs and dig through my box. The other side, obviously, this comes off the ballast resistor hot, and then this goes to the coil positive. So I need to go dig through the box upstairs and see if any of the wires that I snipped are still there. I'm telling you, I don't think I would do that quality of taping. And I just don't remember doing that. But that doesn't mean I didn't mess with it and retape all this. It just looks too nice for a job that I would have done. And it looks really old, and the car hasn't been on the road, so there'd be no reason for this to be covered in grime like it is. It would be clean like this one here. See, I rewrapped that one. You can tell because it looks terrible. But it's, see how clean and shiny it is? So anyway, I gotta get a battery in here. So in order to do that, I had already taken this plug end off, thinking I had a kit for really nice quick disconnect terminals that lock down. And they're like $8 on Amazon. So I gotta fix this end up here. This is the original stuff. And then I searched around for the negative and I found it, and I want to do the same to this end. But what's interesting, this was what was on the car when I got it. What's interesting, at least to me, is there's no secondary wire coming off of this negative to go to the body. So I don't see any evidence of a body ground, and it needs that. And yeah, and you can see this is when the engine was painted orange. The 340 that was in here, it got some overspray on it. Probably Craigslist rebuild, no doubt. So yeah, them's the updates on where I'm at. And again, I'm going to do what I can today electrically and keep it moving forward. But those battery terminals won't be here till tomorrow, so that's not going to make it into this video, because I'm going to try and edit this out today and go ahead and pop this up on the tubes. But I'll keep making progress on it. And but really, that just baked my noodle trying to figure out, what did I do? So the moral of the story here is, when you're doing stuff, really document, keep a great notepad for an old vehicle like this, because you never know when you'll set it down for 19 years. Wow. Okay, talk to you soon. Never see that again. Found it. Oh, yeah, found it. You go there. You go there. Yep. What size are you? Let's go with half. Gotta recalibrate my eyeball. I'll never find that again. And then this little tiny dude. Yep, I don't have a socket or a screwdriver to get that tightened down. I'll use my thumbnail. Maybe. All right, and then here to I, and there to G. Beautiful. All right, that's done. Victory. Now I got to figure out how I want to try and do this dumb thing. It's there's no good way. Oh, wait a second. Nope. Hole there, hole there, hole there, hole there, hole there. Lots of holes. All right, that seems, the old piece was right there, and those holes don't quite make that cut. These don't. Guess. Nope. Kind of like that. I don't know what this thing was. Is that just a rubber? It was maybe a vacuum line went there. Kind of looks like, because it's rubber. I don't know. I have to research that. Oh, so it looks like just one bolt's going to hold this thing on. And it's probably going to be that one. That's not cool. Let's see if it'll hold on enough to not roll around, flop around. Not too tight, it's gonna strip. I can feel it trying. I mean, it's on there. Looks like crap though. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And it's oil pressure, coil, that's gonna go there. And obviously I'm just sticking these on here for now. Don't get mad at me. I gotta redo all this again once the battery's in here. I'm 99% positive this brown one is gonna be the hot one when the key is in the on position, and I think that's gonna solve my inability to fire up that old engine that was in here. But whatever, different engine going in. All right, well, this is a not ideal location for this ignition box, but there's holes there and I'm gonna use them. So let's try and get the difficult ones. Here's the ignition wires I still gotta do. See if I can get this thing going. Now this thing has to be body grounded. So I got the paint off right there where these bolt holes are. And also, hopefully the bolt itself acts as your ground connection, ideally. You just screw it into sheet metal here, so you're not going to get crazy on it, tightening it down, but it has to be a good solid connection. I don't love this location for this thing. Right by the hood, you know, rain, everything gonna get all over it. When it does melt out of the back because it overheated, it's all gonna get over this flange. It'll be awesome, but it is what it is for now. Maybe down the road I'll get my eyeballs on a real electronic ignition charger. Maybe like a 70, I don't know. When they went to electronic ignition from points. I would think 1970 probably. Maybe it was 71. If I can find one that had air conditioning and see, you know, how they've got it located. But I do want to shut the hood real gentle like and keep an eye, make sure that that doesn't interfere with anything. I don't think it's gonna. No. All right, that'll be okay. And then this guy goes to that. Yep. And I'm missing the long screw, so I got to get one of those out of a junkyard if I can find an electronic ignition box. Shouldn't be too difficult. This will go to the distributor, This goes to coil negative, and this is probably going to get spliced into this brown wire here. And can you see that? Yeah. So what I'll end up doing is stripping off part of this wire, weaving this through there, soldering it, retaping it all, and trying to make it look nice. But yeah, and this has got to make it all the way to the distributor up here, and that's going to be a bit of an issue with that location. I may end up having to change it. The distributor is going to be sitting right about where I'm at. It may make it to it. TBD. But, all right, let's move on to some other things. This is the horn harness, and next thing I got to do is, oh yeah, I'm going to wrap these wires over here. All right. This is conveniently located. What I'm doing here is just electrical taping a bunch of wires that have been bare since I bought the car, and cleaned them up a little bit. But they go through right here, so the wires will be laying on the metal, which is not a good plan with vibration and whatnot. So go ahead and just get some protection on these, and it'll look a little better. Not a very good location to be messing, but we'll get it. This is the headlight and turn signal fog light harness. All right. Probably not going to do a whole lot. Lacquer thinner. Yeah, this was, it'll come clean, but it got painted black. At some point somebody shot more paint under this hood and didn't bother removing most of these wires, so most of them are black as well, which is a shame, but that's good enough. That feeds through here, under here, the battery bracket. Actually, nope, it does not. It goes through here. And the battery bracket. Right to here. Perfect. Pow. And then here's its mate. I think, yeah, it went right there. Another clip goes right there. Another one back here at the back. All right. Well, that's going to have to do it for this weekend. I didn't get nearly as much done as I wanted to. Didn't get the rear center section out. Maybe the next time. Got a long way to go still, and maybe some of you are watching this and saying, wow, this guy is slow and it's not getting very far and just want to see an engine in it doing burnouts. And I get it, there's a lot of YouTube channels out there just like that. 1 hour, 2 hour videos, like find a car, rebuild it in 2 days, and it doesn't work like that. And I think most of you that have done this kind of thing at your own garage, at your house, know exactly what I'm talking about. Very little time to do what I need to do when it comes to working full time, family, obligations, chores, all of that stuff. And more importantly than that, well, that's all important. I shouldn't say more importantly, maybe equally important, is this takes a lot of money to do this kind of thing, and that's not something I have an abundance of. So I need new wheels and tires for this ride. Bang, there goes what, $1,500, maybe $2,000, hard to say, till I get it all priced out. I need to get a fuel tank. Need a carb kit. Need to rebuild the carburetor that I have and hope that it works. Probably try it on another vehicle first. I got to get a radiator. I haven't found one I liked yet. Got to get the drive shaft made, but I got to get the engine in and everything, and the rear end I'm going to use, and then I can get all the measurements I need to get that made. I need a ton of other things. So in the next video, I'll get a little bit further. Got a little bit done today. Wasn't super exciting. Hope you enjoyed it anyway, and if you did, stick with me. I'm just trying to document what I'm doing to this old ride, and hopefully it comes out good, and just at least be able to cruise it around for the first time ever. So really appreciate you, each and every one of you that have watched or subscribed. And hey, if you're new to the channel and you like this, hey, like and subscribe and stick around. I'm going to be gone next weekend out of town, but the following weekend, hopefully there'll be a little surprise in there. So stick around, come back and check it out. So talk to you soon, YouTube. Thanks.